Welcome back to the Midnight Mirage School of Higher Learning. So, briefly, what I want to do is give a reminder to you young brothers out there that are on the come up. Maybe you don't have children yet. Maybe you don't have a family of your own yet. And your business is in the beginning phases. And one day it's going to be a great, great big empire and kingdom. And you're going to be a very, very powerful and successful man. So wherever you are right now in your life, just know that you're going to evolve and you're going to actually manifest into what you're going to become one day. So don't get stuck on where you're at right now. Don't make decisions and choices based on what's going on right now. Make your decisions and choices based on what you want to be in the future, okay? What you have to understand is that once you create your empire or your kingdom, whatever you choose to allow in it and whomever you choose to allow in it is on you. And if that person moves and operates in a way to where it destroys your empire and kingdom, in the end, it's going to be all your fault. All right. So you got to be very, very accountable and responsible for who you let get, in that inner circle part of your life, as far as business associates, and most importantly, the woman that you choose to interact with. I want you to think back to the Old Testament if you are familiar with this story. And if you're not, I want you to do some homework and read about it. But it is the story of Ahab and Jezebel, okay? The story of Ahab and Jezebel, which can be found in the book of Kings in the Bible, all right? Now, in this story, ultimately, what you have is Ahab, who is a man that is a descendant of Judah. And because he is of this house of Judah, he is a party and a descendant to the kingdom and to the empire that his forefathers created and established. So, it was a royal lineage. They saw themselves as a prestigious people. And the hard work that they put in, they wanted to keep that within their family inheritance. So we talk about the family inheritance, your trust, your estate. That is ultimately what, King Ahab inherited. And it's the same thing that your descendants are going to inherit in the future. The collective assets of all your hard work. So King Ahab, now established as a king. And when it's time to marry, he decides to marry a foreign woman. And he allows this woman to come in. And ultimately what she does is change a lot of the religious practices and starts to steer the people in the wrong direction overall. And because Ahab was, he was a little weak in certain areas and he didn't have a backbone, and he allowed his woman to walk over him and to manipulate him. And because she probably had more charisma than him, maybe she knew how to, entertain the room more than him, so she could attract people in a different way. So although he was the power and although he had the name and the prestige, she had the vision and the manipulative tactics to take his strength and his kingdom and put her sauce on it and turn it into something totally different. And of course, this, it caused a lot of problems within the nation of Israel. And what ultimately had to happen was that this woman had to be thrown out of a window and eaten up by dogs, okay? And she was stoned to death as well by her people. So whenever you let a person infiltrate your circle and they destroy it from within, remember, like I said, you're going to be held accountable for that. And, all throughout the Bible, we get these stories of these strong, powerful men that either have physical strength or they have economic strength, some type of strength they have, and they allow a woman to come in and break them of it. Am I going to say it's the woman's fault? No, but I will say this. The woman has an organic nature that the higher power instilled within her. So I'm not saying that this is her fault, but the way the woman is and just her default state, she can be very, very chaotic, especially when her emotions are quote unquote attacked and she feels, when she starts to get defensive, she can become very, very dangerous. And what she'll tend to do is destroy everything around her. So, so the moral of the story and the point of all this is to understand that, yes, what you're working for one day, you're going to get it. You're going to get it. But the woman you choose to associate with on a personal, intimate, sexual level, on a marital level, you better be very, very wise on the choice you make with this. Now, I'm not one of these gloom and doom guys that's going to tell you, man, you don't need to procreate, monk mode, stay single, red pill. I'm not really going to be with that. I don't promote homosexuality. I don't promote being an incel. I promote, men and women interacting with each other in a healthy way, but the man doing it from a position of leadership and power and safeguarding himself before he gets into these situations. So I want to give you a little bit of information you can use. All right. So as a young man, you're building your business up. As I've told you all before, you want to create an LLC. All right. So you shouldn't be out here doing business with your personal name, and you shouldn't be out here using your social security number. So you're going to have your LLC, create your business name, and then you'll have the EIN number, or the employer identification number, that you will get from the IRS, and they'll use this to track your company and, as your tax filing number. So in other words, now this business is a separate entity from you. So although your name may be John Doe, but John Doe's coffee shop is a separate entity from the man, and the man works for his company. Okay. Now, to make sure that all the paperwork and documentation is filled out correctly, you do want to make sure you get with a good attorney, just to make sure that all your I's are dotted and all your T's are crossed. Okay. So even if you're an entrepreneur and you're an independent business owner, it's still good to get outsourced help. Although I'm an accountant, once I get to certain levels of the game, of course I'm going to go to these older accountants that have, greater expertise. They have probably had accounts where they were managing millions of dollars. I haven't gotten to that level yet. So there's nothing wrong with getting outside help. So what you want to do is you're going to create your LLC. Now you're doing business. Eventually you're going to start, receiving a lot of proceeds, profits from the business. And of course, some of it stays in the business, but some of it, you pay yourself. And then after you do that, you're going to start acquiring assets, maybe vehicles, homes, and any other thing of value that you may, purchase with your money. But what you want to do to safeguard yourself, you have to understand that we live in a corporate society. So if you get married to one of these women legally on paper, it's really viewed as more of a corporate merger. Okay. So all the assets and personal items that belong to you, they're now going to merge with this other corporation, aka the woman, and her assets and liabilities will merge with you as well. No different than if Foot Locker bought Champs, for example. You're going to take on the balance sheet of the company that you are either acquiring or merging with. So understand what I'm saying to you right now, that your assets, meaning your vehicle, your PlayStation 2, if you cut hair, your clippers, anything that are your assets that you use to generate income, and even anything that you can liquidate and get cash from. So it could be a Game Boy, like I said, it could be a PS5. All these things are going to be listed on your balance sheet. And if you were to hypothetically, let's say, get a divorce, what the attorney on the opposing side is going to do is want to evaluate all your assets so they can get the proper valuation. Because when the woman divorces you, once they get the proper valuation, if she either is going to get 50%, 40%, 60, 70, whatever is going to be allocated towards her, for them to get the proper accounting, they're going to do an investigation into everything you own, aka the assets. So let's say with the vehicles, they'll look at, the title of the vehicle, whose name is on the title. When they look at the homes, whose name is on the mortgages, etc. Right? So who owns these assets? Who's actually on the documentation? Not who's paying the bills. Okay, so let's not get caught up in, this whole idea like when you brothers like to buy a woman a car and it's in her name, but you just paying the bills. No, I'm not talking about that. So ultimately what you need to do is all your assets, once they're acquired, and even if you don't have anything yet, just keep this in the back of your mind. What you want to do is you want to legally and appropriately transfer your assets from your personal name to the LLC that you own. Okay. Now, the reason why you're going to do this is because LLC stands for Limited Liability Corporation. So when the owner of the LLC, or, some of the individuals involved in the LLC, when the corporation gets attacked, or if it's under a lawsuit or any type of situation, the people that are included in the corporation, they are separate from the corporation. So it will be the corporation that's getting sued, not necessarily the individuals involved. Now, do they own a corporation? Yes. Will they take a hit? Of course. But it's the corporation because it's a separate entity. All right. So understand that in a corporate society that we live in, a commercial society, you should be doing business to the best of your ability through your corporate name, aka your corporation. All right. And of course, it's an artificial entity that we create ultimately just to do business with each other. All right. So that's all your LLC is. And what this will do is it will be holding the assets. Now, understand this as well. So let's say you do marry one of these women and you sign documentation. You all now are married. And you do it, of course, with your legal name, right? But the assets that you own, maybe the home that you're in and some of the vehicles, etc., they're actually under the name of the LLC. So on paper, it doesn't look like you own them, all right? Now, what this will do is it'll give you an insurance that if you do legally bind yourself to one of these women and things go belly up and she starts to want to, try to get you for everything you have, she's going to run into some problems, all right? She's going to run into some problems because if your assets are legally, under your LLC, and even better if they're under a trust, because a trust, when you have a trust set up, it has certain, rules and regulations on how it works. So even if you set your own trust up, once you set up the, guidelines of the trust, you can't go against them. All right. So that's why when you're building your business up and things are starting to go good, you're starting to have money come in where you can consistently pay your bills and your lifestyle can start to increase. This is when you need to start doing these important things. Sitting down with a legal attorney, all right? Sitting down with your accountant, sitting down with a tax attorney if you need to, your tax accountant. And once you start getting married, your trust and estate lawyer, all right? These people are going to help you with the proper filing and documentation to safeguard your assets. So, when you get into marriage or the situation, you don't have to be so nervous and scared about, if the woman do this or if the woman's going to do that. So that's just something, as a strategy you can use. You want to separate your assets from yourself because whatever you personally own, if it's ever a divorce proceeding, the woman will be a party to it. And that's just, that's facts. So, and really what inspired me to make this tape is it's an old quote that I used to tell a lot of brothers that I'm around. But, and this may be a harsh, perspective to some people, and I understand that. But I'm going to be real with you all. I'm a traditional man. I'm an organic man. I'm a real man. And what I get and what I work for and create is my empire. The Lord gave me the strength to do that, and that is what I need to do. So ultimately, as a man, what you're going to have in life is either what somebody gave you or what you created on your own. And if you've created your own business, and it's doing good, that is your empire. So understand that if you choose to include a woman in that, that's good because a woman can help evolve a lot that you have in your life. But please understand that she is not the empire. Please understand that she did not create the empire. Please understand that she is an accessory to the empire. She is something that goes along with the empire, but she's not the empire itself. All right. She's not the reason why you get the empire. And I'll give you an example. So let's say you just purchased a new vehicle. All right. When you purchase a new vehicle, one of the accessories that comes with the vehicle is a spare tire. All right. Now, we all know when you purchase a vehicle, the primary reason you're doing it is not to get the spare tire. The spare tire is just an accessory that comes with it. No different than for all the brothers out there, who buy the Air Jordan sneakers. I like them. A lot of times you get the Air Jordan sneakers. Sometimes it'll have a card in there. It'll have a retro card. So if you bought the retro 7s, it'll have the Bugs Bunny picture on there. It'll show you the history of the retro 7s on the back, etc. But you didn't buy the shoes just to get the card. The card came with the shoes. It was an accessory to the shoes. So the same way that the spare tire comes with the car and you didn't purchase the car for the spare tire, and the same way that the Jordan retro card comes with the shoes, but you didn't purchase the shoes to get the card, is the same way that the woman comes with the empire, But you didn't do all this hard work and construct this monumental great empire just for the woman. And that's very, very important and firm, and you got to stand on that, and you got to know that. Another homework assignment is I want you brothers to go and watch the movie called The House of Gucci. It's called The House of Gucci, and it is starring the actress and recording artist Lady Gaga, where I got to salute her. She's a very, very good actress. I liked her in American Horror Story, where she played the vampire queen, and I also liked her in House of Gucci. But House of Gucci is a very, very good example of everything I'm talking about. You know, that story of the House of Israel and a woman who's from the outside coming in and taking the family name. And now she thinks that she's a party to the empire and ultimately destroys it from within. If you pay attention to the screen right now, this is a very, very pivotal scene because, you know, it was a lot going on in the movie where ultimately, I don't want to give it away, but let's just say this, that Father Gucci was warning son Gucci when he saw the type of woman he was marrying. He was letting him know what the history of Gucci was and how it had been in the family. And it was a very, very important thing to safeguard the family estate and the family name, the family empire. The father Gucci understood that, and the uncle Gucci understood that too. But it was some of the younger people in the family that didn't. So, you know, so that was very important. You don't build up all this stuff just to let somebody in, because I'm gonna also tell you this too. Do some women out here have a genuine love for men? Yes. But naturally and instinctually, most women are only into us because of the security we can provide and, you know, some of the other, you know, pros that come with having a man in your life. Let's just keep it real. Most of us are seen only as a dollar sign. I'm not saying that all women are like that, but the majority are. So just know that the more successful you are in life, the more than likely that any woman that's dealing with you, and it's gonna hurt what I'm about to say now. You know, this is gonna hurt. You know, this ain't gonna really matter how attractive you are, how in shape you are. You know, all that's gonna be relative, but probably on average and in general, once you become a successful man, you know, the average woman that's probably giving you attention, she's doing it because you're successful. Even in the beginning of the movie House of Gucci, they showed a scene where Lady Gaga's character was in a party and young Gucci was in there. And once she found out who he was after he told her the last name, you should have saw her eyes light up. And from that point forward, he was no different than, you know, once again, it's about to be hunting season in the Southeast. He was no different than a white-tailed deer in the crosshairs of a you know, a AR-15 or some sniper rifle from a hunter in the backwoods of Georgia somewhere. He's no different. You know, she saw him and she saw her lick, she saw her ticket, and she saw his empire as her empire. Once again, I don't want to spoil it, but a lot of the stuff the way that woman, that Lady Gaga's character was acting in the movie, this is the nature of the woman. And you better understand it, because if not, you will have your shit destroyed. And, you know, and once again, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it, but I'm going to end it with this. The scene that you see right here on the picture, the image you see, this scene is very important because she was having a little dispute with her husband because she was starting to get a little too aggressive. You know, woman, you married into the Gucci family. You're not a female heiress of the Gucci family. You were married into the family. And that's what you understand. The woman takes on the man's name. So if you are a man and you put in a lot of hard work to build your name up and to make your name have respect, understand that that is an asset in itself. So you don't just give your last name to any old woman. Just like you don't ejaculate your seed into any woman and allow her to procreate it. So young Gucci, them being a royal family like the House of Israel, he understood the prestige, you know, royalty and lineage that he came from, even though in the beginning he had a hard time accepting it. So once he saw the woman was getting overzealous, you know, she started to act like it was his empire. He ultimately told her, like, you know, I'm Gucci, you know, like, you married into this. And as you can see right here, she's holding up her wedding ring saying, no, I'm a Gucci too. So understand that when you empower the woman in your empire, You know, um, just be prepared for everything that comes with it. Just be prepared for everything that comes with it. But I just wanted to make this and have get a few brothers to think about some stuff, because there are people out there that need to hear this. And this is really the last thing I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna end it. It's a lot of brothers out here are, everybody has their own personality. Everybody has a certain introvert or extrovert nature to them. And there really is no such thing as a person either being cool or lame. You got some folks that may, be a little corny, but everybody has how they are naturally, right? But I will say this, for you brothers out there that may not have as much charisma, you may not be a negative guy, but your personality is bland. It's dry. You're not the type of person that maybe can, let's say, attract a lot of people in conversation. You brothers really got to watch out when you become successful. And the reason why is because you're going to attract women who are very charismatic, women who are very, very visionary, women who are very, very ambitious, women who are extrovert in ways, women who know how to communicate, women who are almost like the social butterfly. And that was the dynamic that you saw in the house of Gucci, because young Gucci, I wouldn't say he was an awkward guy, but he was laid back, I'll say. And the woman, Lady Gaga's character, she was one of these super ambitious, charismatic women. And you gotta be careful with that pair. The man who may not have as much of that outgoing personality, maybe is not as charismatic, but he becomes successful. Let me tell you right now, you're not going to attract a woman that's dry and bland like you, buddy. You're going to attract the complete opposite. You're going to attract a woman who's very, very, like I say, extrovert, social butterfly type. And if you're not careful, that woman's going to be able to run game on you. And she's going to be able to manipulate you in sexual ways, and emotional ways, and a lot of other ways. So you just going to have to be firm on that. And I know I was saying I'm going to end it with this, but this is the real thing I'm going to end it with. If you allow a woman into your empire, and you may have started out, let's say, in your bland stage, but you're going to sauce up after a while. Maybe you're going to start reading. You got money now, and let's say your personality comes out and you lively up and you become your true self now. Maybe the woman met you when you were on the way to becoming who you were. But now you fully firm in who you are. And let's say in that new evolved state that you are, the woman that you had been dealing with, you've outgrown her. Maybe there's nothing wrong with her, but she just doesn't match with who you are in your evolved state. So let's say you move on from her. Understand that some of these women got a mentality that if I can't have you, nobody can have you. And I'm going to leave it right there. So y'all stay tuned for the next one and just ponder on what I said. I'm out.